Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to Joy Newsroom. We are coming to you from our studios here at Kokomlele. It's also live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 144, and around the globe. It's at myjoyonline.com. My name is Paco Sishandov. This is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Now, coming up, Member of Parliament for the North Thorn constituency, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, calls for the immediate suspension of the construction of the National Cathedral to enable an independent audit of monies spent so far on the project.
The suspension of this project, immediate.
Then what?
And then there must be full accounting. As we speak, the documentation we've put out in excess of 200 million Ghana cedis. Remember that is not all.
We also hear from the Finance Ministry, which insists that the government is not running away from accountability.
In the right time, and I honestly, government will respond to these concerns, will continue to engage. We want to be as prudent as possible and be measured and accountable in all the issues that has to do with the National Cathedral.
Teacher Union or Alliance Teachers Ghana urges teachers to withdraw their services nationwide over their cost of living allowance, which they say is woefully inadequate. We'll engage the leadership of the group here on the Joy Newsroom. And finally, government reiterates its commitment to employing road toll workers who lost their jobs after the state abolished the collection of road tolls in the country.
Of plans to restore these workers, the government is currently engaging with the Toll and Route Management Limited to develop other employment models for the re-engagement of the toll workers.
Do stay for details. Now to our very first story, Member of Parliament for North Thorn, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, has called for the suspension of the construction of the National Cathedral to enable an audit of monies spent on the project. According to him, there are so many unanswered questions regarding the cost, the scope of work, illegal procurement methods, and others. Speaking on Newsfile, Mr. Ablakwa says that the whole project is shrouded in secrecy and therefore urged the government to allow for an independent probe.
Immediate suspension of this project. Immediate.
Then what?
And then there must be full accounting. As we speak, the documentation we've put out in excess of 200 million Ghana cedis. Remember that is not all. Some money has also gone to this designer. Out of that 200 million Ghana cedis, there's a $22 million contract that we have cited. We need to know. Then you see, there are so many illegalities. If you take the public procurement law, for example, relying on section 41B and C to give that contract to Sir David Ajayi.
On sole sourcing.
On sole sourcing. Yeah. 41B says a procurement entity may engage in single source procurement under section 41 with the approval of the board. B, where there is an urgent need for the goods, works or services and engaging in tender proceedings or any other method of procurement is impractical due to unforeseeable circumstances, giving rise to the agency which is not the result of dilatory conduct or the part of the procurement entity. C, where owing to a catastrophic event, there is an urgent need for the goods, works or technical services, making it impractical to use other methods of procurement because of the time involved in using those methods. This cannot apply. So, you see, this project has lacked candor, it's lacked sincerity. It's violated the Constitution, virtually every law, from the Procurement Act, the Public Financial Management Act, to the NLC Decree 357.
Now, private legal practitioner Martin Pebu says that the money for the project could be used to address critical sectors of the economy that is challenged with cash flows.
You mean we could mobilize such money? Couldn't we use that money to support the GET fund so that they will build more schools quickly? Because I think we went and borrowed about 1.5 billion, but I don't know how the money is not coming in quickly, so the projects are delaying. So if you can raise these millions of dollars, why wouldn't we use it for the education first? Because when you educate the mind, then the rest can follow through. So as for $50 million, that can easily be provided, even some of the churches. So they should give the project to the man of God who says he can do it at around $50 million. Give it to him. Let him do it. And I'm sure $50 million, they can raise that quietly on their private. and then leave us. Beyond that, the money that they are getting, please, let's give it to Get Fund. Because no, when you have teenagers at home, okay, for longer periods than they should be, you know, usually under the old system, you're sure that they are in school for a certain period. This one, they are leaving home today. Some of the schools, okay, this week they are going. In a month's time, they'll be back. You will incur extra costs, educating them, extra classes and all that. Let's use the money to support education. The excess of the money, they should use it to support education.
Reacting to these concerns, Deputy Finance Minister Dr. John Kumah says that government is not running away from accountability.
Is to bring into perspective the cost that many people say is costing us as the foundation of all sacrifices that men make to God. If you genuinely want to do something for God, don't be thinking about free gifts to God doesn't attract much of his blessings. And the foundation of that is in 2 Samuel 24 verse 24. But this is not to say the concerns they are raising is out of place. Now, back to issues of principles and values. One thing I don't question or disagree with people is efficiency of our expenditures and value for money, and when people want to seek accountability. I am all for with all concerns that has to do with efficiency of our expenditures. Why are we going to spend 200 million or 300 million when we could do for less? If there is substance in that, I think we can easily look at that and reshape it, and so that at the end of the day, we achieve what we cannot do. We achieve the objective in our difficult circumstances. So the issues that are being raised about costings, and let me put on record, I have not seen any $400 million anywhere. I've seen lots of figures. People are talking about $450 million, $500 million. I have not seen those figures. And something, like I said, we in the right time, and I want to say government will respond to these concerns, will continue to engage. We want to be as prudent as possible and be measured and accountable in all the issues that has to do with the National Cathedral. And so we are going to look at those issues and come up with the appropriate responses that are correct, because there's so.
Now, All Alliance Teachers Ghana is urging teachers to withdraw their services nationwide over their cost of living allowance, which they say is woefully inadequate. The teacher union also wants members to protest other matters, including promotion, incremental jumps, steady leave with or without pay, re-engagement, and other hosts of alliances. Thankfully, President of the group, Isaac Ofori, now joins us via Zoom with more. Now, Isaac, if you can hear us, we want to find out from you. You say it is time for teachers to break the chains of what you describe as marginalization and unprofessional treatment. Is staging a protest, therefore, the way to achieve this? Hello, Isaac. Isaac, if you can hear my voice, please unmute and let's have the conversation. All right, Isaac, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm saying that the last aspect of it, I couldn't hear it again. If you can come out, I said I'll hear you clearly. Right,
I was making the point that you have highlighted a number of issues that you say are of concern to you. Under the circumstances, is staging a protest the way to have your issues addressed?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me on your program. Actually, we have raised concerns over the issues of demanding COLA from the government instead of adding all other issues to make it more compatible. You see, in all derogation, when you want to invoke the use of strike action as a means to put legitimate pressure on the government, it must come at the backdrop of issues that are very tentative and the government cannot even shoot it down. But as it stands, as teachers begin to demand cost of living allowance from the government, we think that the cost of living allowance is not enough. Looking at our condition of service, which the government or through GES or the Ministry of Education have not attended to. So we are saying that, yes, the call for a strike action as it stands in the current situation of the economy, it's legitimate to us, and that if we are going to face the government on this note, it must be done on all issues that bother the profession, so that the government will not have any room than to adhere to our demands. You see, the cost of living allowance, we have said that is subjected to some timelines, or is time bound. So if you go into negotiation with the government and it tells you that the 20% you are demanding, it can only give you 10% for 6 months or 3 months, it means that after it elapses, you don't have any other thing to stand on it again. So we have called for a clear, to put all issues in one basket and face the government with it. Other than that, we'll be on strike and government says, I don't have money to pay the COLA, but I can actually do other things for you apart from the COLA. I cannot do other things for you to cushion you. That would be on a better note than to face the government with only 1 out of 10 COLA. We think that it is not sufficient, and we think that it could be very unrealistic.
Right. Now, consistently, we have seen labor unions stage protests to register their dissatisfactions with respect to treatments that they receive from government. In the face of circumstances, it doesn't always yield the desired outcomes. In the event that your protest does not give you what you are looking at, what other means are you going to resort to ensure that the concerns of your members are promptly addressed?
Yeah, I because of the network, I couldn't hear the last aspect of the conversation.
Right, Isaac, I was making the point that over time we have seen a lot of agitated workers staging protests to register their dissatisfactions, but it does not always come with the results that they anticipate. In your circumstances, if you should stage the intended protest and you don't get the desired results, which other means are you going to resort to?
Yeah, that's what we are saying. That's the main reason why we are saying that the COLA in this case is insufficient. If you are going to face the government on only one leg table, it becomes very complicated and very difficult, especially if you go to government and the government begin to say that the economy is bad, I cannot pay this or that. It means that your issues have been shut down, and that going on strike seems like a nuisance. So we have advocated and we have maintained that in this situation where we want to invoke strike as one of the powerful, legitimate pressure on the government to come to our aid in terms of cushioning us in able to live within the current economic difficulties, the only thing that we are looking at is that we are going to face the government not only on COLA matters, but we think facing the government on the total issues that confronts workers is the way forward. Because, for instance, you see, if you take teachers, for instance, in the country, our conditions of service have been neglected by successive government, and we feel that all this neglection has culminated into a kind of difficult situation. And anytime there's hardship in the country, you realize that teachers begin to feel the pain more.
Right.
So if opportunity like this has granted itself, and we are going to face the government, in order for the government not to say, I'm not going to meet your demand.
All right, Isaac, we wish you the very best in your endeavors, and as and when the events unfold, we'll be keeping tabs accordingly. Let's jump on to some other developments where Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee of Parliament, Clement Apak, is alleging that some Ghanaian students studying on government scholarships abroad have been locked out due to government's refusal to pay their grants. Speaking on the floor of Parliament on Friday, the Bursat South MP tasked the majority leader to draw the appropriate authorities' attention to resolve the impending issue.
The plight of students on government scholarships studying abroad. Mr. Speaker, I hold here in my hand a copy of the Daily Graphic dated Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. The headline, among other things, indicates students on government scholarship face hardship. The Speaker, if you were to look at the opening paragraph of the said article, it says, and with your permission, I read, more than 1,000 Ghanaian students studying in about 20 countries have been blocked out of their school portals due to failure.
Is it something within the business statement that you want to raise?
I am trying to plead with the leadership of the House to program the leader of the House and Minister for Parliamentary Affairs to brief us on this matter. This falls under the jurisdiction of the Scholarship Secretariat, which is under the auspices of government machinery. So if these students are stranded, and our effort as a committee leadership to get in touch with the Scholarship Secretariat has proven futile, then clearly the only other avenue available is to make a supplication to the majority leader of the House to get us some information as to what is going on and why disbursements have not been made to these international students as of today.
The government has reiterated its commitment to living up to its promise of employing road toll workers who lost their jobs after government scrapped the collection of road tolls in the country. The finance minister announced in the 2022 budget that government was no longer going to collect tolls but promised that workers will be absorbed and employed by the state. But 7 months since government made the pledge, they have failed to provide jobs for the hundreds of affected workers. We will hear from the Deputy Employment Minister, Bright Rekubrube, who has been given some explanations as to why the government has not fulfilled its promise yet. But first, let's bring back a report that highlights the plights of redundant toll book workers struggling to survive this harsh economy.
This is the Pubiman toll booth in Ghana's capital, Accra. It used to be a major revenue cashing point for the government and served as Linda's office. Millions of Ghana cedis were generated here annually until the cessation of road and bridge toll collection in November 2021. The decision to halt the operation of the toll booth has placed a heavy burden on Linda.
Nti yetua ka eno bi na mede toto mo ne bayire ne niam nkakra de guho na me ne memei yedi ni nkakra na kakra be ka wo me ho no me de aye lole fe akosi se e bia next month no e be so eto da nso metimi ko free niam wo nkrofo ho nti se kama ne so ne yetua ka na yede amaye na ye be fie die emu nya kra.
She says the current economic downturn is slowly squeezing the life out of her. She cannot pay for accommodation any longer and is currently facing eviction. To fend for her 7 children, Linda now begs for money.
If you can say, no, the dining room. And if you run no buy, until buy a who send me a juman. Now, sister, dear, men name a man, yambra a dining room. Nti na me mani bibi kakra sika de onje but etoda emu kakra oye oketwa no baako na oba ha na me de amano nti me wa ha na oba e ka kire me se me free edan no de ne ba e ba betina den sa tam no yetama na yapam yen nti me ni ba bia meko no sese sa na tie de am pesika na me nsan mo bo me structure no me bla baako utimi musu agu ni so a na ibu wose wono nso oni bi na wa bre me 50 cedi ibu 100 cedi nti ibu wa na mako free bayire ibu wa na mako free munti ode ba ya no na mi dremika de akoma bayire wura na na mu wura se na ebe ya obesan ama mi bi na me de abegu nti bayire ne de e wo na wuni na kade kra itimi no na ye de nche apre ho na ja ya cheche ne sa na yedi.
Linda says all attempts to get reassigned have failed after registering with the Ghannorth District Assembly.
Mako register o Ghannorth. Enti da no omo ba ha e be bisa me se kade na metimi aye. Na me ka che ne se sisi ya de ni omo de be ma me bia.
Patience Latte is in the same predicament. She, also a former toll booth employee is a mother of two. She describes how hardship forces her to sleep on an empty stomach when all attempts to reach out to family and friends for help are futile. The last salary she received in December 2021 couldn't sustain her for more than a month because of the high cost of living. She is disappointed that government had failed to keep its promise of paying them indefinitely while they waited for reassignment.
Sometimes I just sleep. I sleep without food.
Patience says financial hardship has forced her to change her children's school. This is because she was unable to pay the previous school fees. Her mother and other siblings who depended on her have had to find their own means of surviving.
I have to take them off from that school, put them in different schools where even I can't afford their daily feeding fee, school fees, books, everything. I can't. Since last term, up this time that school resumed, nothing has been done about their school. They are just going there just like that.
Franklin Ansong Siame's story on the impact of the cessation of road and bridge toll collection on livelihood.
We are privy, toll workers are privy to the government. He should reassign us. As we are home, we have to eat before we survive, to wait for our reassignment.
Abai, why na me my bre. Mini da so bia baby so wani me da ko me ba sore no ma sensen da keteso.
Now, responding to questions in Parliament on Friday, Deputy Employment Minister Bright Rekubrobe explained that the government is developing new models to employ the affected workers.
Collection of road tolls and bridges tolls was carried out by the Ghana Highway Authority using workers engaged on 6 months renewable contracts. In some instances, the Ghana Highway Authority used private entities in the engagement of some of the contract workers to carry out the collection of tolls on behalf of the authority. At the time of the suspension of toll collection, a total of 784 toll workers were engaged by the Ghana Highway Authority and the Toll and Route Management Limited, a private company, under a contract that was set to expire in December 2021. Out of the 784 contract workers, 517 of them were engaged by the Toll and Route Management Limited and 214 workers by the Ghana Highway Authority. As part of measures to cushion the affected workers, the government paid their salaries for the remaining time on their contracts, that is November and December 2021. Speaker, as part of plans to restore these workers, the government is currently engaging with the Toll and Route Management Limited to develop other employment models for the re-engagement of the toll workers.
Now, still in Parliament, Member of Parliament for Buem, Kofi Adams, has lamented the inability of cocoa licensed buying companies to pay cocoa farmers. He pointed out in a statement on the floor of the House on Friday that reports from his constituency and other constituencies in the cocoa growing regions show that cocoa farmers have not been paid by the cocoa licensed buying companies for cocoa purchased from them.
Many of us from cocoa growing areas have these cocoa farmers repeatedly call us that they are not being paid for their cocoa beans they sold to the licensed buying companies. Some of them actually say that when they take these beans to the licensed buying companies, they actually refuse now to take the beans because they do not have money. I made a statement here last year, and the minister promised that this will not repeat itself. But Mr. Speaker, it is happening. So if the Agric Minister is being scheduled to appear before the House to brief us on one particular subject, it's important that we add this also. What has happened to the package this House approved for the purchase of cocoa beans? And why should we still have cocoa farmers who depend solely on this to be struggling to eke a living after they have gone through all the processes, Mr. Speaker, that they've gone through to get these beans for us? So I'm appealing to the Business Committee to add this matter to the briefing from the Agric Minister.
Now, the Ministry of Public Enterprises says it will be rolling out additional measures targeted at improving the efficiency and profitability of state-owned enterprises across the country. Sector Minister Joseph Kudjo, who disclosed this to Joy News, further explained that his outfit in the coming days will release a public enterprises league table under the auspices of the State Interest and Governance Authority, SIGA. This league is expected to conduct a peer ranking exercise that the minister believes will change the long-held narrative of the inefficiency in the public sector. There's more in the following report.
This is the laurel that awaits some state enterprises, which will be honored at the end of this month when the Ministry of Public Enterprises releases its final assessment on the performance of over 40 state-owned enterprises. The Public Enterprises League Table, PELT, is an innovation designed as an add-on assessment tool for evaluating specified entities. The foundation of the League Table is the performance contract signed by the specified entities, which provides the measurable performance dimensions and indicators which permits the State's Interest and Governance Authority, SIGA, and the Ministry of Public Enterprises to conduct a peer ranking exercise for the selected agencies. Joseph Sapong is a technical committee member of PELT.
Now, with the coming in of the minister, a new approach has been devised where the evaluated performance results are now indexed and ranked so that we are able to compare the performances of the specified entities among each other. But in doing so, what we are doing is that we are leveraging on the categorization of the specified entities as per the SIGA Act. The SIGA Act clearly distinguishes between the SOEs, which are mainly wholly owned by government, and the other state entities. And these entities are the public policy function organizations. And we are very happy with what is going on, because overall we would want the index to improve over a year. What I mean is that if we are able to index the performance, we can have an average index for the performance of SOEs, JVCs, OSCs for a year, and the index can be, let's say, 3.5. You would want to improve upon that in the next year, so that overall you want to see a performance of 4. That will show you that the overall performance of the entities are appreciating. And just like the Ghana Club 100, which has become a very competitive index.
Ghana's public sector has always grappled with the issues of poor service delivery. However, Sector Minister Joseph Kudjo tells Joy News that the league table, although not a monetary award, will go a long way to engender healthy competition, which will, in the end, promote efficiency within the public sector.
Yeah, specific objectives. The overarching objective is to engender performance from them. Specific objective, if you look at the basis for the award and the performance assessment being the performance contract they sign every year with SIGA, and before existence of SIGA with State Enterprises Commission. Across enterprises, everybody will set target. But that has been going on for years. And still, you and I know the characterization. We have heard of them. More critically, even preparation of financial statements to meet legal requirements like the Public Financial Management Act, what it says, end of year, end of a year, you operate for 1 year. January, February, you must prepare your account. March, your account must be audited. Legal requirement. They are not meeting it. And some companies, as when I became the minister, I've seen some companies that were even lagging as much as 8 years. No account prepared. Nobody throwing light on them. And when I say light, this media light that you are throwing, nobody throwing light on them. Are you getting me? The public not being part of the discourse for us, and we just at the receiving end of the outcome. No, you want to change things. So apart from the PELT, that's a Public Enterprise League table, apart from that, there are other lot of things that are being done by SIGA and with SIGA to engender the performance we want.
The minister also called for support from the general public as he explains that the efficiency of state agencies has a potential benefit for everyone, including the private sector.
So every public sector action, there is equal and opposite private sector reaction. So what it means is that what public sector does, private sector is affected.
Now, joining us via Zoom is Mr. Joseph Sapon. He's a member of the PELT Technical Committee. Now, Mr. Sapon, if you can hear me, welcome to the Joy Newsroom.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Right. Now, in the area of, in an era, of so many public awards scheme, what is the underpinning consideration for rolling out this very one as well?
Well, the focus of the PELT Awards is to ensure that the story of the specified entities are also brought to the fore. Here we are discussing about the few that are making progress as far as the performance of the specified entities are concerned. So we are shining the light on the performing ones in the midst of challenges. The PELT is to engender competition among the specified entities. It's also to promote the framework within which we are operating, to ensure that there is good corporate governance practices within these specified entities. And we are also to ensure that the few that are not performing, this ranking also provides us with an opportunity to provide tailor-made interventions for them. Of course, with every league, you are expecting to relegate some. But here, we are saying that the non-performing ones, we are going to shine the light on them, provide them with interventions, whether it is managerial, it is corporate governance, it is injection of capital. We would want to be able to do that. And we are also not going to leave the non-performing ones to go scot-free. Where there's a need for us to recommend for changes as far as the managerial side is concerned, SIGA, with the support of the Minister for Public Enterprises, will do that to ensure that we will bring the specified entities to the level that Ghanaians will be proud of. So that is the essence of this ranking. And I must say that it is tied into the performance contract that these entities are signing with SIGA. And we believe that once we are shining this light and the general public is also following, it will engender competition and will bring the entities to a higher standard of excellence.
All right, Mr. Sapon, what mechanism are you going to roll out to determine which outfit is performing better? Run us through the means of assessment.
Okay, so as I already mentioned, the performance contracts signed between SIGA and the specified entities form the basis of this ranking. And the contract has three main performance dimensions for the SOEs, i.e. The most profitable. We also have innovation. We also have compliance. And at these three main dimensions, we have indicators that these entities have signed to perform and report in. Once this report comes through, a team of consultants and technical officers from SIGA and the ministry who do the assessment, that is evaluating the performance based on the target they have set. And we are doing a weighted score. So your actual performance multiplied by the weighted score, we are able to achieve a performance index. And it is this index we are going to rank per individual dimension and also the overall dimension. When it comes to the other state entities, we add a productivity index where we look at their performance in terms of their core mandate. Again, there are specific indicators there that we measure. Then we are able to have a performance index that will rank the overall performance index for these specified entities. And it is an add-on feature of the evaluations that we have been doing. Over the years, the contract are signed, they are evaluated, and the results are shared with the sector minister and also with the boards and the management of these entities. But what we are adding on now is that we are going to rank them among themselves so that we would have a general ranking for all the specified entities. So these are the mechanisms we are using to be able to carry out this exercise.
All right, Mr. Sapon, that is well noted. Thanks for your time. We'll be keeping tabs on that particular development. Now, let's jump on to some other developments where the Regional Maritime University will soon increase its capacity to develop a more human resource base for the upstream oil and gas sector. This is because government is securing a loan of $146 million to modernize the university. This was revealed by the Deputy Minister for Transport, Hassan Suleiman Tampuli, who was speaking at the Day of Seafarers 2022 in Accra. There's more in the following report.
The Day of the Seafarer, constituted by the International Maritime Organization, is a day set aside to honor seafarers on June 25 every year. Speaking at this year's event, the sector minister explained that modernizing the facilities of the Regional Maritime University, RMU, will ensure the provision of quality training for officers in the shipping and oil and gas industries.
Currently, the shipping industry is experiencing a shortage of officers with technical experience, particularly at the management level and in the tanker and offshore sectors where there are reports of the shortage of management level desk officers. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is for the above reason that government, in addition to other interventions at the policy level, is prioritizing and leaving no stone unturned in ensuring that as a country we train more seafarers through the Regional Maritime University for exports. Indeed, as I speak, the government is seeking the support of the Exim Bank of Korea for a loan facility to modernize the Regional Maritime University at an estimated cost of $146 million.
He further revealed that the Ghana Shipping Cabotage Regulations, Legislative Instrument 2438, has been passed into law.
I am happy to report that the Ghana Shipping Cabotage Regulations 2021, LI 2438, has been passed by Parliament. This regulation reserves 50% of all officer and 75% of all ratings positions aboard vessels operating solely within Ghana's maritime jurisdiction to Ghanaian seafarers.
The Ghana Maritime Authority has, however, promised to continue with its advocacy for enhancement and support in the area of fair treatment of seafarers and fair working conditions in line with the International Maritime Organization's Labour Convention. Mausi Numont report for Joy News.
Now, Chief Justice Anemi Boa has admonished newly enrolled lawyers to be highly professional and also provide proper justice for clients in their line of work. The Chief Justice was addressing 95 newly qualified lawyers called to the Ghana Bar. There's more in the following report.
It was a dream come true for 95 new lawyers called to the Ghana Bar. After successfully obtaining their LLB, studying at the Ghana School of Law and passing their bar exams, they can now call themselves lawyers. These new lawyers will beef up Ghana's lawyer population. The Chief Justice and the Chairman of the General Legal Council, Enin Yeboah, charged the new lawyers to provide proper justice for clients in their line of work.
Application of improper and unwholesome methods to procure justice for your clients. As practitioners, you should not disregard the professional charging fees by overcharging your clients, especially for services that you've not even rendered. The rules frown on touting, and so you must desist from that. You must prepare very well for every brief you are handed and pursue it assiduously in court. You must respect client-lawyer confidentiality. Do not mislead the court in your advocacy by acting in a way that damages the reputation of the profession of which you are a part.
Meanwhile, the Director of Legal Education, Ghana School of Law, Yao Opong, also appealed to the government, the Lands Commission, and the public to support the school get more accommodation for the incoming students.
We have an issue with accommodation and facilities, which we are trying to solve. We are also looking forward to expanding the facilities at the law school complex itself. But it hasn't been easy. We are still appealing to government, Lands Commission, and the appropriate authorities to support us, because this is a state institution, it's not a private school.
Some of the newly enrolled lawyers said they have achieved their dreams after years of challenges.
It's a great moment for some of us, and I must say that it's also a new chapter where we will have to learn a lot at the bar, aside what we've learned in classroom, and also to ensure that we serve or we bring about justice. Most of us had one or two issues or challenges. Some people had to redo the course again, and thankfully we are here today, and it's a great moment, I must say so.
Very elated. It's been a dream come true. It's something that I had yearned to have, and we've struggled through, and by the grace of God today we are here. We thank God for this moment.
Member of Parliament for Bolgatanga East constituency, Dominic Ayine, whose son was called to the bar, admonished new lawyers not to prioritize money over justice.
My word of advice to them is very much in line with what His Lordship the Chief Justice said. You know, do not prioritize money over justice or material rewards, over, attaining justice for your clients. And I think that should be the guiding principle. They should abide by the ethics of the profession. They should take, the confidentiality of their clients' matters very, very seriously. And then also fight for the maintenance of constitutional democracy in this country. For me, I think that is very, very important.
Sarah Mensah's report for Joy News.
Let's take a breather at this point. The bulletin continues shortly. Thanks for your patience. The bulletin continues. Now let's do some sports where newly promoted Ghana Premier League side Kotoku Royals are confident their home venue will be ready for the new season. Joy Sports' Asari Bediako was in Akimoda earlier this week and files this report.
Achim Oda, a hilly town in the eastern region of Ghana, is the capital of the Kotoku traditional area. Agriculture, mining and tourism are the main economic drivers of the home of Kotoku Royals, newcomers in the Ghana Premier League. The town's passion for football is immeasurable, and its ageless dream of producing a Premier League club has become a reality. Residents cannot wait to throng the Oda Sports Stadium, which was constructed in the 1960s. Kotoku Royals are working round the clock to ensure the stadium meets GFA club licensing requirements before the start of the new season in September. Lenford Asamoah Boadu is president of the club.
There are a lot of things in our facility here that we need to improve up. The inner perimeter needs to be improved. The field itself needs to be improved. The goalposts need to be changed. The dressing rooms and the administrative block need to be renovated. The tunnel from the dressing room to the field need to be renovated and fully completed. We need to have stands. We have to create a media center, and also we have to ensure that sanitary facilities are always here, making sure that everybody will be fine. We have to create access for ambulance so that if in case of emergency, then you can have a free access to move the person. We have to do a lot of things to make this place complete. But we are confident that after ascertaining the facts of what we have to do, we will fully accomplish that project before the start of the season.
Lenford Asamoah Boadu has stressed the need for Kotoku Royals to play their Premier League home games at the Oda Sports Stadium.
People in the community or from Nsamoa Adreji. Nobody knows on Nsamoa Adreji is under Achimota. It's a Kotoku town, you know. So all the surrounding towns and villages are under Kotoku. Many people doesn't understand the Kotoku. Kotoku is a traditional name which cut across 119 towns and villages. You understand? So all the people in the Queency, Abrim, Asamankese, Aprade, Asenim, there are a whole lot of towns. We are going to ensure that we form supporters union in all those towns, and we will make buses available, and they will come as a festival. So our home game will be more like a festival to bring all Kotoku and traditional area together and making sure that we celebrate. So here, the Premier League teams who are coming here, they have to come here with very.
It's going to be a Waterloo.
Waterloo.
Team can win.
Yeah. The supporters alone will give us one goal.
Kotoku Royals have become the first Achimota club to secure promotion to the Ghana Premier League.
It's a wrap here on the Joy Newsroom. My name is Pakwesi Shandov. Do have a pleasant Saturday afternoon. Let's meet at 7 p.m. on the Joy News Prime. Don't go anywhere.